Thank you very much for having me, James, and inviting me along. As it was just mentioned, my name is Elliot Woods. I'm the Brumbies Media and Comms Manager. Give you a little idea. I've been at the Brumbies for 4 seasons now, so this is my 4th year. I've been in Canberra for 9 years. I grew up in Barrel and Sydney. And before I was at the Brumbies, the 2 years before that, I was actually at the Canberra Times on the sports desk. So in the last 6 years, the way I sort of operate and approach sports, media, sports marketing has changed so crazily that it's completely different to anything that it was like when I started. So I guess my first year at the Brumbies, we had a Twitter account and a Facebook account. It was pretty much limited to during the games I'd do an update on both, every sort of 3 or 4 minutes about what was happening. And so tonight I'll give you a little rundown of sort of who we are, what I do there, but more importantly, some of the challenges we face. I think a lot of people here, sport's a little bit like licorice. You either love it or you absolutely hate it. So I'm not going to bore you all with sports content, but I think that a lot of the challenges that I've faced or that we faced at the Brumbies are probably pretty similar to what, if you're selling cupcakes or, trying to promote anything, it's all the same. So as I sort of mentioned, we joined in about 2010. For the first 2.5 years, we were very aimless. There was no targeting. It was just sort of throw it out there and hope someone gets it. It was pretty boring. At that stage, I think we had about 5 or 6 guys that were players on Twitter, as well as our Facebook. It was pretty mundane. So in mid-2012, we decided it was time to have a good hard look at ourselves, and we got a bit more of a strategic plan around what we were doing. So in the past 18 months, we've had a fair bit of growth. I think about 17,000 follows, which puts us 3rd in Australian rugby. We're ahead of all provincial NRL teams, and we're first for sport in ACT in Twitter. The Raiders have got more than us on Facebook. The AIS are very close behind though. So just having a look at where we all come from, most of our followers are from Australia. We've got a lot of rugby supporting nations behind us as well. Bit interesting that our biggest follower, more so even than Australia, on Facebook is Fiji. However, we can't seem to rally them onto Twitter. It's a massive challenge. We've got almost 8,000 tweets out at the moment. So it's more than the Waratahs and the Reds, who have more fans than us, and less tweets than the Rebels and the Force, who we've got more follows than. So read into that what you want. So I suppose developing our strategy, we found quite a few problems. We asked the pretty textbook questions of ourselves to get there and get a result. Who are we? What do we want from it? Who's our audience and what do they want? And how are we going to facilitate this? Along the way, there were some problems came up and some issues that we've had to overcome, as I mentioned before, and I suppose that's what I want to get into. So who are we? We're Australia's best rugby team. We've won 2 finals. We've been in the playoffs more times than anyone else. But we've also got Australia's smallest market in terms of population and also corporate support. The big business isn't in Canberra. If you look at teams like the Reds or the Waratahs, they've got millions of dollars worth of corporate support at their fingertips. I heard a story about the Rabbitohs that was quite interesting. They lost, they had Domain on the front of their jersey, and they'd lost their sponsor. And Russell Crowe sent a text to James Packer and said, "Mate, are you up for $1 million a year?" On a text message, he said, "I'm in," and that was their new sponsor. Yeah, it took 8 months worth of hard slog to get across the line. So that's the sort of thing you're up against. We've got really exciting content and content producers. We've got 35 Gen Y guys who all are either on Facebook or Instagram and are pretty savvy with it. This beast here, Dave Pocock, I don't know if any of you follow him, but he is very, very, very active and very good. You know, his whole life's pretty much on display.
So much so, I believe you had to break out his garden into a whole separate Instagram.
Well, there you go. You're a follower. How's your African maize going? Any good?
He certainly is into his maize.
Yes. So what did we want from all of this? Like, why are we doing it? And we came up, I suppose, like any organisation, we need better public awareness and we need more bums on seats. We need more people through the gates. We need new members, and I think along the way, that's the target. Along the way, we need to be engaging Canberra, Australian and international rugby community. So that's the overall sort of drive. Now, when I say who is our audience, I don't mean our audience on social media. I mean our audience sitting at the game with a pie and a beer. So the majority of them are well-off, old, white men. So I suppose those statistics there, 80% are between 40 and 65. I mean, that's a really quite alarming figure when you're trying to move forward and stay relevant. And we obviously need to be looking at avenues where we can find that other market, you know. And certainly we believe they're all using Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So our major challenges, like a lot of groups, we're resource poor and that leads into staff shortages as well. We are really light on. In terms of resources and staff, our marketing budget to get all our advertising, a lot of our printing collateral, uniforms is about 300 grand. When you go somewhere down the road like the Reds, it's closer to $1 million. So trying to compete with that day in, day out is tough. I touched on us having a pretty hard market as far as corporate support goes. Skinny staffing out of the 18 AFL teams, 16 NRL teams and the 5 Australian Super Rugby teams. We are the only ones with one person to do marketing and comms, which is luckily enough me. So we've had to scrape the job descriptions in our office are quite amazing. The match day manager does the website. You know, you've got the business development manager does all of our hospitality bookings. So you really have to pick up some slack there. As I mentioned, the demographic challenges. So these old guys don't like change. Our biggest complaint that we had last year and this year is that the music's too loud. That's not a joke. Music's too loud. So I mean, I just can't imagine that the guy who runs the FIFA Facebook or Twitter page is having complaints in a month's time that at the final that the music was too loud. So it's just really important that we're becoming more relevant. So if we're looking at our strengths, I know they're old sticklers, but the 10,000 members have family members. They've got kids, they've got, you know, people that are interested in the club. It's important for us to be able to contact them. We've got, as I said, content producers. This photo here, I don't know if anyone knows who that is. That's Henry Spate. He's our Fijian winger. He's Australia's top try scorer for the last couple of years. And this is him 10 minutes post-op. His family weren't allowed to come in and see him, but he got the nurse to take a photo and he put it on Instagram and shared it with everyone, which was great. We've also got an ability to leverage off other teams. So Before a home game, there's a lot of banter goes on. I'll show you a little video that we put together this week for some of that banter and, really push it through Twitter. And obviously sponsors and high-profile players. I think, last check, I think Poey's got 70 or 80,000 followers. Land Rover are fantastic for us on social media, and so are some of our marketing group, the Mark Agency. So solving some of these problems and implementing things. There's nothing better than a good intern. I think that they are probably, they're as rare as hen's teeth. But if you can get one, I've got a cracker at the moment. If anyone's looking for anything to do with media next year, I know someone, so give me a buzz. But she helps out amazingly. As I mentioned before, we're really short. Anyone who's looking for good interns should contact the uni, because I've developed a really good relationship with one of the heads of media over there, and he's been able to weed them out for me over the last couple of years. I've had one that's now one of the content managers at the West Tigers. Another guy's on the panel at Fox Sports. I've found them to be terrific. As I mentioned before, some of our partnerships, so with the ACT government, UC, and our marketing agency, advertising agency, they've been really helpful in bridging some of those gaps as well, and also players, coaches and sponsors. They've really got on board. So I heard James mention before measuring success, and it is a bit airy-fairy for us. Like it's all well and good to write a number on a page and shoot towards it, but there probably needs to be a bit more substance behind it. So obviously we did put a bit of quantitative sort of, where we want to be numbers-wise, and we're sort of achieving those goals. We've got about 3,000 followers to go this year on Twitter, and we'll be there. But I think also expanding our demographic, so getting that figure back up that it sort of isn't the oldies would be great, and customer satisfaction as well. We're getting some good feedback.